Our collusion and corruption segment tonight, bombshell allegations about a classified memo that congressional Republicans claim will blow the lid off the Russia investigation. Now, the memo was reportedly compiled by House Intelligence Committee Chairman Congressman Devin Nunes and fellow Republicans on that panel, and it's said to show that senior federal officials under President Obama abused the FISA surveillance program in order to target the Trump campaign. In other words, this memo is reportedly proof of what Republicans have been saying for over a year now, that Obama and his administration weaponized the FBI to target a political opponent. We know about this because Republicans on the House Intel Committee voted to allow members of Congress at large to view this memo in a classified setting, and the reaction from Republican lawmakers who viewed the memo has been astounding. People will go to jail, one Republican congressman said. Another said the information in this memo is worse than Watergate. See for yourself.
Today, I had the opportunity to go into a confidential setting to make sure that what we can do is understand better what actually took place. And I'm here to tell all of America tonight that I am shocked to read exactly what has taken place. I would think that it would never happen in a country that loves freedom and democracy like this country.
This is something that needs to be out. So this should never happen in a country as great as the United States of America. And we need every single American take a look at this and see what exactly their government did, their law enforcement division did. This is that kind of information, and it needs to be public as soon as possible.
Comey had to know all of this was going on, didn't he?
Well, we can't talk about specifics, who knew what, and what we read today. What we read today, though, was a memo that compiled information that they've got, that they presented to members of Congress to look at. We called for members of Congress to be able to see this material just a few weeks ago. Today, we're calling on all Americans to be able to see this material so they can see what really took place.
I think that this will not end just with firings. I believe there are people who will go to jail. I was very persuaded by the evidence, and it also became clear to me why Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham felt it so important to refer this matter for criminal prosecution. You don't get to try to undermine our country, undermine our elections, and then simply get fired. So I think there will be criminal implications here. And we have to underscore the point that you and Jim Jordan just made. Every single Democrat on the Intelligence Committee voted against even allowing other members of Congress to see this information. So you know they're going to fight against release to the American people. What are the Democrats so afraid of? Why don't they want the American people to know the truth about what was going on with the government, how that impacted the president, his transition, his campaign?
With me now, United States Congressman from the 3rd District in Florida, Congressman Ted Yoho. Congressman, thanks for being on the show, sir.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having us on.
All right, Congressman, this is quite an interesting topic, as you know. Now, you've seen the contents of this memo, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us what you make of this.
Correct. Well, I read it and I was shocked when I read it. And I agree with everything that you've heard people say. When the American people, and they deserve, number one, they deserve to see this. There's nothing in there that's going to jeopardize national security. But what they're going to see is they're going to see what the federal government did, the American government did under the previous administration that overstepped the boundaries of the Constitution and overstepped the boundaries of the law. And they need to be held accountable. This is one of those things that's going to make a great movie. Unfortunately, this is not a movie. This is our national government and what they did to American citizens. And these people need to be held accountable. And we are on the support letter to release this information so that the American people can see this.
Right. And it is the contents of this memo. I know that it's classified. There's only so much you can say. But is there proof within this memo that the FBI and perhaps the Department of Justice were weaponized by the Obama administration to target President Trump's campaign?
Well, I don't want to say they're weaponized by the Obama administration. However, it was the Obama administration in charge, and these people were appointed by the Obama administration. So this will lead down that path. But again, it'll show how the United States government, the Department of Justice, overstepped their boundaries. And I can't say too much because I don't want to get caught in saying something I shouldn't. But again, you'll see these people will be held accountable as they should. The thing I think is interesting, this is going to open up a lot of new paths for the Justice Department to go down. And I think it'll go higher than where it is right now.
Right, that's very interesting. Now you're talking about people being held accountable. Is there proof in this memo, or I guess are there names named in this memo of specific people who could be held accountable for overstepping the bounds of our Constitution, as you put it?
Yeah, there is. There's people that are named in there, and also about the process of how a FISA warrant becomes acted on to where they can move forward with an investigation. A FISA warrant's only good for 30 or 90 days at a time, and so it would bring into question the original one, but more importantly, the renewals of the other ones that came out. And I think this is something we're going to demand this gets released, and I would be hard pressed to say that it won't get released because there's so much pressure to have this released, and so I look forward to that day.
Right, we all do, and I appreciate your effort on behalf of the American people to make this public. Let me ask you one more specific question here. When we're talking about the process of obtaining a FISA warrant, whether it's the original warrant or the renewal after those 90 days, is there evidence in this memo that shows that those who requested the original FISA warrant misrepresented the justification or the reason, perhaps the dossier, they misrepresented that information to the judge to obtain that warrant?
Trying to answer this without legal counsel. I would say your statements are not inaccurate.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I don't want to get you in trouble here. The American people
I don't want to get in trouble.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to overstep and, take away from when this does get released. I want it to have its full impact, and I don't want to jeopardize where it will lead after that. But I won't dispute anything you said.
All right, Congressman, we'll have to leave it at that. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you saying what you can. And like I said, thanks for fighting for making this public. Good to see you, sir. All right, guys, we've got a good one for you next. The Democrats were willing to shut down the government for 3 days in order to push amnesty for illegal immigrants. So let's hear their numbers. How many immigrants do they want to let into our country? How many is too many? If blocking amnesty for Dreamers is racist and immoral, as they tell us it is, why isn't it racist and immoral to block anybody who wants to come to America? Hit me up on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler over the break, and we will see you back here to answer all of those questions next.